Good morning, everyone, and happy Earth Day. As you probably know, Earth Day was this past Wednesday, April 22nd, and I believe it was the 50th anniversary. It was the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, so it's been going on for 50 years now, which is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Earth Day because I am someone, as I think you guys know by now, who very much appreciates nature and all that it has to offer, and being out there in the woods and the wilderness among the trees and the animals. So it's an important holiday, in my opinion. Now I have something to share with you. Let's see if you can figure out, it's cut in half. If you can figure out, oh, I bet you can. If you can figure out what this is, oh, I can smell it. It's actually not smelling too rotten yet because it's just from last night. This gross, you're sort of hard to see in this because I have this little background, this tree background on birthday. This is, if you haven't figured it out yet, can you figure it out? It's a banana peel. I dug it out of my trash. Sort of gross. Why am I showing you a half-rotten banana peel? We're going to be coming back to that at the end of our lesson. Oh, now my hands are all gross. Just have to leave it that way. So we'll come back to the banana peel. In the meantime, so why is nature important? Is it important? What's that have to do? What's that have to do with Sunday school? Why am I talking about that in Sunday school? Well, the Bible tells us that, very much talks about the land and the plants and animals, and of course, God. This is all God's creation, right? He created all these things, and it's just as important. The trees and the animals and the plants that God created. He created them, so just like he created us, so they're just as important as we are. And in fact, God blessed the creatures of the land the same way that just the same way that he blessed humans. So if we look to Genesis, find it here, get it more, oh, here it is. So, which I'm sure you're familiar with by now. He said in Genesis 1:20, God said, "Let the water swarm with living things, and let birds fly above the earth, up in the dome of the sky." God created the great sea animals and all the tiny living things that swarm in the waters, each according to its kind, and all the winged birds, each according to its kind. God saw how good it was. Then God blessed them. Be fertile and multiply. Now, after creating humans, then God said, "Let us make humanity in our image to resemble us, so that they may take charge of the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, the livestock, all the things of the earth, all the crawling things in the earth." God created humanity in God's own image. In the divine image, God created them, male and female, God created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fertile and multiply." He wants the same things for the animals that he wants for us. To be fertile, to multiply, to go out there, prosper, and do our thing. So he's putting animals and the creatures of the earth as the same level of humanity. Now, another thing you might have picked up on there as I read that, he says, take charge of he says to humanity, he's going to create humanity so that they may take charge of the fish of the sea, the birds and the livestock, all the earth, all the crawling things of the earth. Take charge. What does that mean? Do you want us to take charge of all the living things in the earth? And in fact, it's something that the word, the original Hebrew word that's translated from take charge is interpreted and translated in different ways. Take charge is a good way to say it, because really it's about responsibility. We have a responsibility to the sea, the birds in the sky, all the earth, all the creatures of the earth, all the crawling things on the earth. So think about your dog. I think most of you guys have dogs, or you have pets, or a lot of you do. We take charge of them. We take care of them. Some people say would say we're their masters. I don't tend to put it that way, but which means we have responsibility for them. We need to, whether it's you or probably parents more often, needs to feed the dog, right? Or it's going to go hungry. You need to walk the dog or it's going to get bored and be unhappy. We have a responsibility to take care of it. And just as that dog depends on us, remember, we depend on that dog too, because they're part of our family and we love them and they're really important to us. So we want to take care of them. We want to keep them happy and well fed and well exercised. So there's that responsibility there. And it's for our own benefit too, because we care about and love that dog. And it's the same thing with the wild places around us. We have a responsibility to them. And God wants us to take charge of these wild places and respect them and be responsible for them and care for them. So there's, and of course, as you go in these times with people not traveling a lot right now, I don't know if you've heard that like air is clearing and there's less smog because there's less cars and less roads and less planes in the air. So, I mean, it's of course horrible that people are getting sick and even dying, but with less cars on the road, it shows what can happen and how quickly the earth can recover when we aren't poisoning our waters and our air. Now you may think, yeah, well, I'm just a kid. What can I do about it? But you can do so many things. Just because you're a kid doesn't mean that you don't have any power, that you don't have a voice. You still have a voice. The Bible in Timothy 4:12. So don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech and conduct, in love and faith and purity. Don't let anyone look down on you guys because you have a powerful voice. Think of Greta, the girl from Sweden. She was like 15 years old. What was her last name? Thunberg, Greta Thunberg. 15 years old, and she became a worldwide known environmental activist. And she was just a kid, and people listened to her because she had something important to say. So don't think just because you're young that people won't listen, because they will. Now, as I said, I really enjoy nature, and so that's one of the reasons I think it's important to protect it. As a little activity, we're just going to take, say, 30 seconds, and I want you to think, if you have paper, I want you to write it down, pen and paper, and think of 3 things about nature that you really appreciate and enjoy and that are important to you. So you can write down words. If you want to draw pictures of those 3 things that are important to you, you can do that. You can pause the video so that you have some more time to draw those 3 things. And I am going to do the same. So I'm just going to do 30 seconds because otherwise it would just be silence. But go ahead and pause the video if you want more time to draw pictures or just more time to think about it. And think of 3 things in nature that are really important to you that you want to protect. All right, so let's start. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue. If you want more time, or if you're drawing pictures and need more time to draw pictures of your 3 things, go ahead and pause the video, and then you can start playing it again when you're done. So the 3 things that I wrote down are trees. My background here, I really enjoy trees because trees are awesome. Without trees, we couldn't breathe. They provide us with the oxygen that we need to breathe. So they're important just for that and for so many other reasons, but I just really like them. Wind, I love wind. I love the feeling of the wind. I find it energizing on a really windy day. I love that when I can barely stand up. It's so windy. I find it energizing. And I love the sound of the wind in the trees. So the combination of those 2 things is nothing better. Lying in bed on a night, on a stormy night, and hearing the wind through the trees. Pretty Another thing I really enjoy about nature is quiet and the silence. And it's not silence as in lack of noise, it's in silence as of lack of noise that is caused by humanity. So lack of car noise, lack of noise of planes going ahead, dogs barking, people's generators running, chainsaws going, all that noise that's caused, refrigerators, air conditioners, so much noise, cars in particular, that we cause as people. And no one thinks about this. I bet you quiet was not on your list, because it's not something people think about a lot. But it's really important. Think of light pollution. Like, people think about light pollution, how it affects our night skies, but noise pollution is a pretty big deal too, and it's something people think less about. So there's so many reasons it's important. For our own health, it can actually damage our own health. For instance, too much exposure. I mean, you guys know, if like when you're using your earphones and you have your music going too loud on your phones, your iPods, that it could do damage to your ears really easily. So you got to be careful about volume when you're using earbuds. You guys probably know about that. But did you know that too much just noise, ambient noise, so just the noise around you, like traffic and all that, too much of that can actually help contribute to heart disease? Isn't that crazy? So it's not natural, and it's not good for us. It's really bad for the animals that are around us as well. So you know how bird song, oh, I love the bird song at this time of year in the spring, early in the morning, and they all start singing. And have you ever wondered why it is they sing so much more at dawn and at dusk than in the middle of the day? Well, the reason is that it's quieter. They need to hear each other. And during the middle of the day, there's a lot more activity in the air. The air is less still. So it's just like think of a pond, the surface of a pond, and when there's no wind, it's all smooth as glass, and you can see the reflections in it. It's so pretty. You can also see down into the water better, right? If you look down at a smooth pond, you can see down to the bottom. Think about in the afternoon, when it gets all windy and it's all rippled. You look down, the ripples on the water and all that movement is disturbing your view of the bottom of the pond, and you can't see down into the water. It's the same thing with the air. When the air is less still, sound doesn't travel as well through it. So that's why, and the air is much more still first thing in the morning. So that's why birds sing in the morning. Cool, huh? But what happens when you start introducing ambient noise like car traffic and all this? They can't hear each other as well. So this interrupts their mating, because a lot of that is mating calls. And not just birds, all animals. It might interrupt warning signs if there's danger coming, that they can't communicate with each other. It's not a good thing if they can't communicate with each other. And sure enough, studies have found that in really noisy places, bird populations go way down. So silence and quiet is another important part of the environment that we don't think about much, or as much, but that is also really important. So a couple of activities for you to do on your own. There's two I have in mind, and you can do both, or you can choose to do one or the other. One is to enjoy silence, think about silence, think about the sounds of nature. So I want you to go outside, and you can go out in your yard or somewhere in the woods at the beach. And you can have your parents time you. You can go out for 5 minutes, or if you're younger or your parents know how long you can sit outside without getting too distracted. 3 minutes, so 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Have your parents call you in when the time is up. And go outside and just sit and listen and see what you can hear. And either write down words, or you can draw. You can draw the things that you hear, or write down the words of what you hear. And this might be traffic, might be the neighbor's dog barking, or it might be the sounds of bird calling, maybe the waves crashing on the beach if you're near the ocean, a plane flying overhead, whatever. Whatever it is you hear, some of these things, and think about how those things make you feel. Some of them might be good things, some of them might be bad, or maybe you're indifferent, but just sit and listen, and I bet you'll hear a lot more than you think when you're actually listening to what's going on around you. So the other activity, as I said, you can do one or the other, you can do both, is to go outside. Now, Earth Day, usually on Earth Day, there's lots of roadside cleanups. Because over the winter, people are throwing trash out their windows, and the roads just get, trash flies off the back of their trucks, and the sides of the roads get pretty gross. So often, and coming spring, and people are outside more, so on Earth Day, there's often a lot of roadside cleanups that happen, and that gets the sides of the trash off the sides of our roads. But this year, since no one can gather because of COVID, there aren't any Earth Day roadside cleanups. So, but you can do it yourself. You don't have to gather with others to do it. You can just do it with your family. So what I want you to do is, on your own little section of road in your neighborhood, or go somewhere else if you want to go somewhere else to get away from your house, with your family, choose a section of road and get rid of all the trash. Get a garbage bag full. Bring garbage bags with you and pick up some of the trash by the side of the road, just for half an hour or something. And that's just one little way you can help do your part. You can help clean up a little bit of nature. All right, so there's another thing I want you to do, and this is why I brought this stinky old banana peel that I took out of my compost. I want you to think about, first of all, when you throw things out, you should at least be recycling things, right? I'm sure you guys recycle. But even better than the recycle is reusing things like plastic bags. You can reuse plastic bags, paper towel rolls. I almost brought up a collection. Usually I burn them to help start my fire, the empty rolls. But lately, because there's been so little toilet paper, feel like I shouldn't burn them in rolls. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know, weird times, right? It makes you do weird things. So I've been saving them all. So I have all these paper towel rolls, but you can do cool things with them. I actually once made a tree topper for my Christmas tree. And if I found it, I would have showed it to you, but I couldn't find it. So think about, better than recycling, think about how you can reuse things so that even though they've served a purpose once, they can serve a purpose again. That's even better than recycling, because even when you recycle something, it's not 100% efficient. So this banana peel, instead of tossing it, I put it in my compost, and I can use it for my garden. So first of all, it's had a double life. It provided me with this wonderful banana that I ate last night. And then the peel is going to help grow more food that I can eat later. So pretty cool, right? So composting is wonderful. So make sure you compost. And the reason I mention this, composting for gardens, is because if all goes well, if hopefully by summer we're going to be able to meet in person again, right? Wouldn't that be nice? And if we can, what we're going to do, and during Sunday school, is do a little bit of gardening at the church. And so I want you to think about, and if we can't gather in person by summer, which I think we'll be able to, I hope we can, you could do this on your own, at your own homes, your own yards. Think about what you might want to plant. So what sort of vegetables? Do you have favorite vegetables you like to eat? I bet there's some vegetables you really don't like. I love Brussels sprouts. I bet some of you guys don't like Brussels sprouts. So think about just two or three things of your favorite vegetables, and you can grow them yourself. And if you want, think about flowers you might want to plant. So vegetables are important. Vegetables nourish our bodies, but flowers nourish our souls. So flowers are great too. So if you have a particular favorite flower, then think about that, and think about what you might want to grow this summer in our group Sunday school garden. So lots of things to think about, lots of things to do until I see you next time. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Get out and enjoy the trees and the nature around you. Be kind and be well, and I'll see you next week.